TempahZone. What's going on, y'all? Episode 65, TempahZonePodcast. Amir Max, and that's all facts. I got my homie SAULZ in the building. Producer, engineer, guitarist, you name it. If it involves music, I guarantee he probably does it. He's back on for another one. SAULZ, what's going on, bro?
Not too much. It's been a while. How you doing?
Shoot, I mean, it's been a while, man. It's been a while since I've met up with you. It's been a while since I've done this podcast. So it's a lot of, it's been a while, man. Shoot, I might have to make that the intro music for this podcast. It's been a while. What's the band that made that song? Shoot, I'll figure it out.
Yeah, you're going to need it now.
I might have to pop that in the beginning, man. It's something like that. But, I mean, considering the times we're in, I feel like, you know, I don't want to say there's, no excuses for the hiatus, but I mean, there was just a lot of shit going down. So I just felt like it was best to take a break, and come back when it's right. And so I feel like there's a time and place for everything. So I felt like it was time to make the return. I'm glad you hit me up, man, to get it popping. I was ready to come back, and when you hit me up, I was like, wow, I was actually shooting for that week to get somebody on. So
yeah,
actually pretty convenient that you hit me up then, man. So definitely good calling on that. So,
that's perfect. Good timing. Yeah. Ton to talk about. That's for sure.
Man, shoot. Definitely a lot to talk about. But in terms of starting it off somewhere, I mean, how's it been with you in terms of the music game? How have you been approaching everything since the quarantine? Dropped my phone, but yeah.
It's been good, man. I've been working from home. My day job, they sent us home back in like early March at this point. Feels like forever ago. It's been like 3 months we've been working at home. So it's given me a ton of time to focus on my music. I'm thankful to still have my day job, still have an income there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we're working at home. We're not going back to the office anytime soon. So as you know, I've kind of been taking advantage of that extra time and putting out as much music as possible. It's been a good way to release from everything too. Everything going on. Things are so real these days, and making music is kind of the only way to get away from that for a little while, for me at least.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, if I think right now in these times we need just some good music, regardless of what type of vibe you're giving off. People just need, good sounds. I think it's very important. I think EDM definitely is a good void for that to fill, because EDM is nothing but good vibes. I feel like sounds like it definitely helps out, man. But in terms of like all the stuff going on, do you think it will change the sound that you're doing, or you think you're gonna stick on the same path that you already had planned out? Because shit's kind of getting, quote unquote real right now. So I feel like that might change the way people approach their music game. But for you, what do you think that's going to do for you?
I don't think it's going to change the way I work consciously, at least. I mean, and some of the stuff going on, sure, it's going to have an impact in my sound. When I'm making a song, I make, as 50,000 tiny decisions that lead up to the final product. So of course what's going on outside is always going to make its way into my music. A lot of what I've been releasing lately is instrumental though, so the way it makes it into my music isn't what most people correlate with influence in music. It's just the general vibe of my songs. I find some of the songs I put out over the last couple weeks here have been a little darker, a little more intense than like the first single I put back out in March when we first got sent work from home. So I do see it playing its way in a little bit.
Oh yeah, no, definitely, man. I mean, if you just like look at there's been so many like events that have changed everybody's trajectory of what they were going to do. I mean, first you started off with the pandemic, and now all the protesting against police brutality. I mean, those two things have just dominated the media. It's just been, put in everybody's minds. And so, when you get that combination, it just gets everything switching up. And I mean, now things are starting to open back up and things are starting to come back to normal. Like in terms like your job, I mean, like do you think like your job's just never going to be the same? Do you think there'll ever be like your job will ever get back to normal? Or do you think it's just like different from now on? Yeah.
No, I don't think it'll ever get back to normal. Just for some backstory for those that don't know, I work in Springfield at an insurance company, and there's like
Mhm.
3,500 people that go to work there every day, or did prior to the pandemic at least, and now every single one of them is working at home. Uh,
Mhm.
you know, we're not going back to the office until at least September, we've heard. And even at that point, they're talking about only bringing back 25% of the workers. So we're looking at probably second to third quarter 2021 before even a possibility of being 100% of people back on campus. And then even beyond that,
Mm.
uh, I don't think work life will be the same without a vaccine or some sort of reasonable treatment, something that proves
Mhm.
effective.
Yeah, man. And that's just like a whole another conversation in terms of the vaccine and
Yeah,
how that will help or not help with people being able to go back out and stuff because there's all the chips and all that
yeah.
stuff. That's just a whole other conversation. That's like a you know
Well, yeah, man. I mean,
yeah.
if you want to go down that rabbit hole, I saw a survey they did,
Yeah, what's up?
and
What's up? Let's do it.
like
Let's do it.
of 50% of the people they surveyed or something said that they wouldn't even get the vaccine,
Yeah,
even
man.
if there was a vaccine.
That's what I'm
So,
saying, bro.
how effective is a vaccine going to be if people don't get it? So, I don't know how it's going to play out.
Yeah, I mean, like people are just sketched out about the government. It's like when you look at just coronavirus right now, they're saying how when it comes to being asymptomatic, how it's not as contagious, or the virus doesn't is not as easily transferable from surfaces as it is person to person. So all these things are coming out, unraveling the truth behind it, and a lot of people speculate that they can't back out on the fact that this is really dangerous, like be wary. They're almost like let's pretend like this is like the worst thing ever, because we can't pull back because they're trying to implement all these
Yeah,
rules that are crazy, like wear your mask here but you can't wear your mask there, but it's like, why can't I wear my mask there? Like, what's the difference? Like, like there's
yeah.
just a bunch of contradictions. So a lot of people don't know how if they can trust the CDC or the World Health Organization. Like, shit's weird right now. People are looking for something. They're looking for something
Well,
now.
they're looking for answers,
They're
and
looking for
who
answers.
do we
Yeah.
who do we go to? Do we go to our state government? Do we listen to the federal government? Do we listen to the WHO, the CDC? They're all
Hmm.
saying something different. They're all running to a different drum, and that's, in my opinion, been the biggest problem throughout all this, is just the lack of an organized strategy, at least in the U.S.
Yeah, at least in the US. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we ain't speaking for anyone listening around the world. Like, I mean, we're talking about the US here. I don't know for y'all if it's
Yeah,
good, but in the US, it ain't that good right now. I mean, the numbers are they're not going down, but they're not going like all like higher. But it's not doing what it's supposed to do, honestly. And I don't. I mean, it's still something people should be wary of, regardless of everything I just said. Still stay clean and do your thing. Don't pretend like this is over. Still take the precautions and still because you still got to wear your mask to go to many places. So that rule ain't letting up. So yeah, so
yep,
that's the only
yep.
thing. But
Masks are a new way of life for a little while.
yeah, oh yeah. I mean, I've been looking at like some fashionable mask I can get because it's like we're gonna be rocking masks and we
Yep,
get something that look right. You know what I'm saying?
yep.
We get something that's
Custom branded masks.
yeah. I might have to do it, man. I might have to get the TempahZone mask,
Yep,
face mask. Might have to make it happen, man. Or get the SAULZ face mask. You know what I'm saying, man? In terms
yep.
of the brand, though, for you, have you thought of any cool ways to get things rolling during these times since we can't like go out and perform and all that stuff? Have you thought of anything like creative to do in these times?
It's tough,
It
and I'm
is. It
kind of
is. It
learning
is.
as
Yeah.
I go, as
You can
as
say
far
no.
as branding. Yeah. No, I mean, as far as branding and marketing goes, my specialty is music. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but obviously, as an artist, that's not enough these days. You really have to be pretty well versed in marketing and branding and appeal to an audience in that sense.
Yeah.
So I'm still trying to figure out the best way to do that. I mean, like you said, we can't go out and perform. That's one of the biggest outlets for musicians to spread their music. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I
man.
think social media is huge right now.
Mm-hmm.
People are using Twitch a lot
Yeah,
for
bro.
live streams, not just for gaming, but
No.
for music live streams,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe that's something I'll look into. But right now, my hands are just tied, and I'm flat out with making new music.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think that's the best way to go about it. Is just put out as much music as you can right now. I feel like now is not the time to let up, because I feel like people are just wanting, they're in need of content. Regardless that things are opening up more and more and more. I still think, it's just keep it rolling. Like don't let it slow up. If you can, like if you don't have the easiest access to make music, I mean, don't spend every penny that you have and go dead broke over it. I mean, like, obviously be smart about it.
Yeah.
But if you can make it happen, make it happen. I mean, and
Yeah, be smart. But I mean, for anyone listening out there, if you feel like making some music, download an app, make a beat on your phone. I mean,
mhm.
shit's free or dirt cheap. So, like you're saying, be smart about it. Don't spend all your money.
Yeah, 'cause, like I've been like looking into more stuff, like as I've have like been upgrading my shit, and I was like realizing, I was like, all right, I got some stuff here, but I could get something better. I get this mic, I guess this is a cool mic, but I could get a better mic. There's better headphones out there, like there's better. I can get a better keyboard. There's always better shit to buy out there, more equipment. And that's just another rabbit hole to get into when it comes to
Hey,
all that shit.
remember, Billie Eilish did it with an AT 2020 in a bedroom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, you don't
and swept the Grammys. So
yeah, you don't need like a bunch of fancy devices to get it going. I mean, it's not necessary. I mean, it's if you know how to use it, good, more power to you. But I mean, I feel like at the end of the day, there are essentials, and just make sure you have the essentials and start. Obviously start off at a right price. Don't be buying $1,000 microphone if you don't even have one in the first place. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, for sure.
yeah. So that's just like there's a certain basis you got to cover. But yeah, man. In terms of everything going on right now, like not just in terms of your music, but like in general, do you think people are looking for more so like a happy sound, or you think they're looking more so like a angry sound? Like, because I feel like I can't tell what people are looking for in this day and age. What do you think it is?
Yeah, dude, that's a super interesting question. I mean, we're
Mm-hmm.
obviously living through a pandemic right now.
Mm-hmm.
We're living at the hands of a dysfunctional government that's compiled over the matter of years.
Mm-hmm.
We're dealing with the police brutality protests, and probably the biggest civil rights protests since, I don't know, LA riots or
probably, yeah, I don't think
68
like
Martin
this.
Luther.
Yeah.
So
it's crazy, man.
so there's so much going on right now. You take any one of those things, and if they were going on, it would be huge and it would be dominating the media. That I think everyone's just overwhelmed with stress. I mean, people don't realize, but this is just a ton of stuff going on outside. So as far as what people are looking for in music right now, if I had to guess, I mean, most people are probably looking for something that can help them make sense of the way they're feeling, and help them make sense of what's going on in the world outside. Or they're maybe just looking for something to do the opposite, to make them forget how they're feeling, and escape from it for a little while. And, probably a combination of both.
Yeah, man. I feel like, for me, like personally, I always feel like I like to dig into the vibe, like of like right now with all this stuff going on. I mean, I'm bumping to Pimp a Butterfly. Like I'm going to check out like one of Lupe Fiasco's albums, because he has an album called the Food and Liquor 2, the great American rap album, and the cover is all black. It's an all black cover. It has lots of like everybody was uploading the black squares on a couple Tuesdays ago, And
Yeah.
so like it made me go back to that album. I was like, what was he saying on this? It kind of, it was very related to the times, so I feel like, I definitely delve into like the sounds of what's going on now when stuff like this goes on usually. But I mean, in terms of, people definitely do need an escape too. So there's going to be a place for people just to make party music because stuff's opening back up. So people are partying, people want that. So it's definitely still out there. Have you,
for sure.
Yeah. Have you been doing your social distancing? Or have you been meeting up with a few people here and there? What's it been like for you right now, man?
I'm pretty much abiding by it. I have a small circle. I've been seeing my family, my brother, a couple friends, but I try to keep it to a small circle. When I go out in public, I wear the mask. So doing my part. I'm definitely not going out and going to a party with 200 people without masks or anything. So
yeah, man. And that's and what's it's funny you mentioned that, like the parties and stuff, like there's a protest, you know what I mean? Like these protests are going on, and like, I mean, people are wearing their masks, luckily, so like that's good. There's a good amount of people wearing their masks at these protests, but like still though, it's just like so many people. I mean, it's just crazy to see, like, they have all these rules, like, no concerts, but this is going on right now.
You can't stop protests.
No, you can't stop the protests. Like if the people got something to say, they got something to say. And obviously a protest is a lot more important than a concert. So
yeah, absolutely.
Let me preference that before everybody like, yo, did Amir just say that? Like, yeah, I mean,
did Amir compare a concert to
a protest?
To a civil rights movement?
Yeah, right. Like it's like, man, you should have been going.
Why can't we have Woodstock? People are
yeah, right. Like we can protest. Why can't we play music outside with the people, man?
All right. I certainly hope no one's saying that. Someone's saying that, but
somebody out there. I mean, there's been a lot of ignorant shit people been saying right now, dog. You be like, I feel like this protest, you're starting to see like who's playing it smart and knows what to say, or people who are just flat out stupid or just straight up racist. Because like there's people who are playing it silent, and if you want to play it silent, word, like people are gonna say something. Damned if you if you don't. If you're a high profile person in the situation, but like, if you go out there saying something and it's bad, now it's just like, then you're really gonna get the flames, so you just gotta be smart.
It's crazy. It's happening. My social media, I've come across a few where I'm like, geez, you're blatantly, coming out as a racist, basically, and
it's like, you're racist.
Obviously
racist.
I'm going to cut ties with you. Like I'm not about that. So, obviously I'm going to cut ties with you, but all these people on my social media, I'm like, I had no idea,
You're like, oh,
and the real them really comes out in these times.
Yeah, man. I think that's the part that people got to understand right now, is that you're going to see people's true colors and how they really feel about things. Because if you don't look at this whole situation and you don't understand why it's happening in the first place, then you're a part of the problem, because this is a lot bigger. It's a lot bigger than Target getting getting looted up. It's a lot bigger than some windows getting broken down, which is bad. Like it's a lot. It's whenever you're trying to make a point, some good and bad is going to happen. Whenever there's a revolution or someone's trying to make change, there's always going to be, you can always look at it whatever way you want to. But I feel like right now, like, you got to pick a side, you gotta let it be known. And everyone's speaking out, I'm playing Call of Duty and it's Black Lives Matter. And, Drake, I never thought Drake would ever say anything political. He's out there saying something political. Like, people are saying stuff that I never thought would say something. So
everyone
start somewhere, man. Crazy. But in terms of just trying to get the message out there or trying to make better of this situation, what would you say you would do, SAULZ? What would you say you would do? I mean, I know that's a deep question, but where would you start if you were to start somewhere?
Well, I think that's a question that we should be asking a lot of white people, and potentially we don't know what to do.
Yeah, sure. It's tough. I mean, like I think a lot of people feel that way. It's like, what do we do? Because if history repeats itself, you look back and a lot of protesters have tried the same stuff we're doing right now. So
yeah, I mean, for me, what I'm trying to do is I've quieted down my social media over the past few weeks. Social media can be a huge platform for these protests to really gain recognition. So I kind of picked up on what a lot of other artists were doing, and they slowed down their social media, start posting about the cause, donating where you can, but ultimately just, slow down the content release and kind of quiet down social media for the cause so that the social media really can be about the cause right now. And I think ultimately it has been, at least from what I've been seeing, which is good. So I think that's something that everyone can easily do. Going out to a protest certainly isn't for everyone.
No, definitely not. Not everybody's about that, and that's
and especially right now in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah, yeah, especially with everything going on right now.
You don't know who has underlying health conditions, even if they're young, and so it's a hard time. And so I think the biggest thing is just make it known that you're supporting the cause, and do your due diligence to learn the history and understand the roots of this movement, and understand that it's not just about George Floyd or Breonna Taylor or Eric Gardner. This goes back hundreds of years.
Yeah, there's so many layers to this situation at hand that a lot of people are blind to. And I think it's a very cliche thing, like a lot of people are saying right now, but like the documentary that like I'll always tell people about, I'm like, yo, check this out if you want to learn some shit, is 13th. It's on Netflix. Like that documentary does a fantastic job of showing you what America has built itself off of, and America has sins to repay for. And I think a lot of people always mention that I think is great is to mention South Africa, mention Germany. They got some sins that they repaid for. They mention it and they've moved on from it, and in the best manner that they possibly could. Because I mean, that history is very dark, but we haven't done that yet. And talks like this, I mean, people have gotten blacklisted for saying shit like this. People, I mean, now, back in the day, like, when platforms were easy to shut down, people were easy to shut down. I mean, nowadays you can say what you want, but I mean, people used to get shut down for saying shit like that back in the day. You know what I mean? Like, so I think when you understand that situation, you can understand this movement and more to it, obviously, than just that. But for the most part, that's what's going on with the situation at hand. And at the end of the day, just, we're going to be all right. Like Kendrick says, man, like, that's why I love that song. That's why it's a great song for right now. Because at the end of the day, like, we got to just keep it rolling. We're going to be all right.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot. It's a lot to handle.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Change takes time. It doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah, man. I mean, we'd be lucky if we'll be in our 60s and 70s and see something really great happen. I mean, for all we know, I mean, all it takes is 28, 48 hours for the government to be like, all right, we're gonna sign this bill and this will do this with the police and blah blah blah. You know what I mean? Like, it don't take long. So
yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Policies are obviously great, and convictions and accountability for those cops that have wronged. In all cases, over time, that accountability, that'll be good and that'll set a precedent. But I think really it's going to take a culture change, and that's what's going to take the most time, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We need time, because we still got people who have some racist parents and some racist grandparents, and they're not. But everybody, them generations before were hella racist. I mean, like, so we got generational things to fix, systematic things to fix, and that takes time. It takes a long time, man. This is definitely a topic I could go in all day on. I mean, really break down. But I want to have to direct this conversation somewhere else, because we don't got all day to delve on such a topic. But obviously, y'all do your part to help out with the movement, and unlearn and learn. I'll say that unlearn and learn, because I think a lot of people might have, learned some things that they, should get out their brain and, learn with the right shit.
Like you said, Amir, do your part, do the research, learn the history, and, don't be a bystander.
No, yeah.
Now's the time. You got to pick a side.
Yeah.
And you got to hold to it. So.
Yeah. Don't be silent right now, man. People have been silent for too long, and good people have been silent for too long. Not just the bad people who are silent, who you thought were bad who are silent, but good people who have been silent, like they've been speaking up. So that's good, and I think like you said, change is gonna come from this. So I just hopefully we can go up from here in terms of people uniting together for a better world. Yep. It's gonna take time, man. But in terms of we're gonna transition. We're gonna do it again. Golden. Let's talk about it, man. I want to talk about this song and just like the inspiration that you had behind this. Everything leading up to this, because this is one of my favorite tracks of yours. I really felt like your sound has like elevated, and I think that's been really dope to see. What was your approach going into this one?
Yeah, I mean, like most songs I do, I don't really go into it thinking anything. It just starts with a blank canvas. I open up Ableton and I got nothing. And Golden, man, Golden was a ridiculously fun song to work on, but it took forever. It took, and I'm not kidding, it took so long. I must have put 200 plus hours into that song. It's got over 100 tracks. It takes like 25 minutes just to open the Ableton session. I could start opening it right now. It wouldn't be done by the time this episode finished.
Jesus Christ. Mad long. Yeah.
But ultimately, what it started with is I was just screwing around. I was playing on my keyboard. I had this cool chord progression that I like the sound of. I was just playing on like a grand piano tone at the time. That's usually what I start my songs off with, is just a chord progression played on a grand piano.
Yeah.
If a chord progression sounds good on a grand piano sound, then you're good. Then you can start. You can move on. So at that point, I was like, okay, I like this chord progression. And I opened up Serum, one of my synths, and did a quick little sound design patch. And I got eventually, after some time, I got to those massive chord sounds that made their way into the drop. It's like a layer of 5 different synths on top of each other, just this huge sound. And that's what Golden started with, was those chords. If you can think of it in the drop, those chords that kind of pulse in and out, that was the start of the song. From there I kind of worked backwards, and I wanted Golden to be like this roller coaster. I wrote it in the middle of all this. So I kind of wanted it to represent what was going on and give people the escape that they might need from music, but also have an intense vibe and reference to what's going on in the outside world. And obviously it's just an instrumental, so that's really hard to get across without vocals.
That's what I mean, man. Yeah.
So I have the first drop with those chords, and then after that I go into this super intense halftime down tempo section that's really deep and dark, and it eventually builds its way back up to like this euphoric ambient soundscapey bridge. That's the best way I can describe it. And it's just super epic. You got the string section, and you got all the sound effects and the piano, and finally I go into the second drop, and that was all it was at the point. And everyone that's reached out to me about Golden always says the same thing. They're like, yo, the horns at the end of that song are dope. And what's funny is I actually put the song away for a couple weeks because I was like, I feel like it's done, it's ready to mix, but I want to take some time away from it. I feel like maybe I could add something to it. And a couple weeks later, I posted on Instagram, I posted a story of a little clip of the drop in Golden.
Yeah.
And was like, what should I name this? It didn't even have a name at the time. And one of my friends, shout out Adam Cool, he reached out and he was like, you should name it Golden. I was like, well, that's actually kind of dope. I was expecting to get a bunch of joking responses back and nothing really serious. And I was like, damn, that actually kind of works.
Yeah.
And then someone else responded and was like, yo, I love the horns in that. And I was like, horns? There's no horns in that. And I was like, they must have heard the chords and mistaken that for a horn section, which you could do, it was a shitty Instagram quality video. So at that point I was like, I'm gonna throw a horn section on the end of this song and see what happens. And I did, and I was like, that's it. Song's done. Mixed it, put it out a few days later. So that was pretty much it. It's a big song. I'm super proud of it. Took a long time, but by far, I think it's the best instrumental I've put out there to date.
Yeah, I mean, if you name a song Golden, you gotta, or like if you're gonna choose a song, title a song called Golden, you gotta have confidence in it. You want to make sure it goes hard. So I definitely feel you on that. It's definitely a good title. And like the point you said, when you're just making instrumental, when you're making a song with no lyrics over it, you really gotta make sure you drive the point across and make sure everything is lush and sounds clean and clear and everything's right to the point, because there's no hiding behind anything with lyrics, like, I can happen, like when you hear a song, those lyrics make the beat better. Because you don't know what that beat would sound like by itself. So when you're just putting something out just to beat, like, you really gotta make sure it stands on its own, like, to a point where it's like someone listens to it and they're not even thinking of putting lyrics over it. They're just like, word, like, bam, and I just want to hear it. And I think that's when you got something good, when someone just listens to the instrumentals, just like, damn, like, I just want to listen to this. This don't need no lyrics, just boom. So I think
when I make my instrumentals like that, people notice and they call me out on it, that it's just this huge production. And that's really because I take a lot of my influence on those instrumentals from like cinematic sound design, a lot of techniques used in sound design for movies. That's really what I use. You think of a lot of movies, their soundtracks don't have vocals. So it's kind of that technique I use to get this huge sound that just doesn't need a vocalist. There's no room for a vocalist. But don't get me wrong, I'm not going to make instrumentals forever.
No, no, of course
songs with vocals are fun.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, at the end of the day, that always prevails. That's what charts, if we're talking about Billboard. So I totally get it, man. And I know you've been working with a lot of people, collabing. In terms of that, when are we expecting to see more collabs from SAULZ, man? When do we expect to see that?
Yeah, I'm actually working on 2 super exciting collabs right now. Ridiculously talented vocalists, both from Massachusetts, 2 females. Super excited about the songs. They have the scratch track out there. They've been working on writing to them for a few weeks, but I was really happy with the scratch tracks I sent out. I have a ton of confidence in these 2 vocalists, so I'm sure those songs are going to turn out great. And hopefully early mid-July I'll be putting those out.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. I mean, I feel like right now you're in a position where you can take your time on the releases, because you've been coming out with the content. You can buy yourself some time, because I really think right now is a free for all, man. Like, when it comes to this music game, I just think everything's a free for all. I think, like, because everybody's playing like there's so many lanes to get popping. Like, I think TikTok just made it. TikTok and Twitch are 2 things I'm looking at. I'm like, man, now there's even more ways to get popping. Yeah. Like, there's even more ways to get going. Like, because like people have been straight famous off of shit that's only relevant on TikTok. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's crazy what the TikTok game is doing, man. Have you been do you pay attention to the TikTok game? Do you think you see yourself playing that game? Because the TikTok game is a game. Like, if you want stuff to go viral on there, it's definitely a way to go about
it. I haven't yet, but it's definitely crossed my mind. I wouldn't be surprised if I get into it a little bit.
Yeah. In the future. What do you see yourself using? So if you had to see yourself using one app more, Twitch or TikTok, what would you see yourself going to more? Because right now I'm seeing those 2 apps and I'm like, those are the ones that like are kind of like the new hit apps to be on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, TikTok short videos that can go viral.
Hmm.
Twitch, I see a big potential for doing like live sets on there,
Yeah, I
like
was
an
gonna
hour
say
long
like
live
yeah,
set.
you can get your
So
DJing on. So
yeah, I think they're two different animals. I don't think I could pick one.
yeah, yeah, no, it's tough, man. I guess like in general, like Twitch is definitely been something I've been looking at more, man. Twitch is definitely like it's because if you look at just YouTube, it's YouTube's been shaky for a long time. So I look at apps like Twitch. I'm like, you're a good alternative, so people can have other options to go to. So
Yeah.
that's always good to have other options that are well, because people not everybody's using the same stuff all the time. So it's like that's
Yep.
why it's great to have these distributing platforms, because they got some apps on there I never thought people would listen to music on. And someone's like, "Yo, how'd you get your music on Amazon Prime or Pandora?" I'm like, "Oh, you're listening to my music through those? Oh, okay." So, all right, word. It's even though the money is cheap,
Yeah.
it's not much to get your songs on all platforms. It's still cool to be like, all right, well, at least someone's using those platforms to listen to my songs.
Yeah, I mean, I look at the stats that come in through my distributor, and I'm like, who's listening on Napster? Like,
Yeah, Naps,
but it's
yeah.
there, it's there, and it's got streams. I'm like, yo,
Like Deezer.
who's got Napster? Yeah, who's using Deezer? Like,
Yeah.
the numbers are there. I don't know.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I mean, I'm shocked by it, but hey, like, thank God that we can distribute to all those platforms, man. Because everybody, not everybody uses Spotify and YouTube and
Yeah,
has an
thank
iPhone.
thank God companies do it for us, man.
I know, bro. I mean, I was just joking with somebody earlier. I was just telling them, like, man, like, he's asking me what I was up to. I was like, man, like anybody could, if you got enough money, you can start your rap career, your music career, like that. Boom, order your stuff and voila, there you go. Just gotta take the time to learn, and it's. But it was like a time, if you want to record music, like
Yeah, it was
you'd have to
a
shell out a
dream.
shit ton of money, and the equipment was not easy to get, and knowing the right people. It's just a whole process. So I mean, it's great, that we're in a time where we
People
can do that. Wait, what's up?
Yeah, and people still feel that way with like Apple Music and Spotify though. They're like, "Oh shit, you're on Apple Music and Spotify?" Like yeah, I mean
Yeah.
anyone can be on Apple Music and Spotify. You just pay a little bit of money and they put your music up as long as you didn't steal it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like that's really like all that like it comes down to, man. I mean, it's like just follow those certain rules, and bam, you
Yeah.
can get your music up there. So nothing to stress out about, man. But in
Nope.
terms of the music you're putting out, man, the collabs that you got coming out, coming soon. What else is next for SAULZ? What else do you see coming soon for the brand?
Well, right now, pretty much all the time I got is tied up in those two uh collabs I'm working on. I got three more originals I'm working on and another remix. So I'm flat out with that. What I
Mm.
see past that is just trying to build recognition, trying to figure out how to navigate these weird times for the music industry without shows and without performances, and try to build recognition and get the name out there and get people listening. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
what I've seen is music and the social media can go a long way. I've had a huge response to the last five tracks I've put out there that I could have never expected. So my plan right now is to kind of keep doing that until that hits a plateau to the point where I can't grow from that anymore and I need to look to the other outlets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. And that's a great point you mentioned right there, man. I mean, I think if there's one thing this quarantine has shown, it goes to show like what carries value and like where you should like have made changes. Because when like everything really was shut down, at its peak, like I feel like it was everyone had their backs against the walls. Like what are you gonna make happen? So I feel like right now in these times, I feel like for you, man, I think you start, you figured out you've been ready to go with, in terms of the home studio and all that stuff. So you've been ready to go for a situation,
Yeah.
to
You
hunker
don't
down.
need this. Don't get the wrong idea. I do more than just produce EDM.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. You got, you have all that stuff because, you're doing the nitty gritty and trying to make stuff, ready to go. So, your tools are necessary, you know what I'm saying? But ultimately, what I'm trying to say is like, right now, like, if you have to step away from anything, that's good. But, if you're going to come back and to do it, make sure you have something good to come back with, make sure, everything's new and improved and refreshed and ready to go. So I think that's just, very important thing. If stuff slows down, it's always good to go back to the drawing board and just figure it out from there. Yeah.
No, for me, it was perfect timing. I mean, hard to say a pandemic's ever a perfect timing, but it had been a year since I put out
perfect
my first
storm.
EP. Yeah, well, it had been a year since I put out my first EP, and it wasn't like I fell off from music in that year. I just didn't release anything. I spent pretty much the whole year working on music and not releasing it, trying to shape my sound. That's why when I came out with Hindsight, people were like, wow, this sounds nothing like your first EP.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, well, I spent the past year kind of defining my sound and honing in on what I want. My first EP was, I'm proud of it, but it was kind of like this impulsive collection of ideas. I was going through a time in my life where I just suddenly was like, I need to stop working on other people's music. I need to stop mixing and mastering. I need to put something of my own out. And I threw that first EP together. And so after that, and after I got a good response on that, that's kind of why I took some time off to define my sound and figure out what I want to be making.
Yeah, man. That's great, bro. That's great. Like I said, it's a perfect storm because had none of this happened, like who knows, the trajectory. And that's the thing I've always been pointing out to people. This has shaken up everything. I had plans that were supposed to go through and they got slowed down, and now I'm trying to get back on the roll of things. So I think in these times you just gotta, when things get shaken up, you just gotta learn how to adapt, man. You gotta learn how to adapt. I mean, I learned, from this that I had to take it upon myself to have the tools in order to record at home and have all the right things. So, I made sure to, get the right monitors and get, a newer mic and all that stuff just to make sure, it's not the greatest mic in the world, but it's better than, an older mic that I had, just to upgrade and just, it highlighted the things that I needed to, to upgrade on and get rolling with. So, I mean, like I said, the perfect storm, because it's not perfect. This is not perfect time and all this stuff, it's just, things align a certain way. You just got to keep it rolling, man. It's what separates the stubborn ones from the open-minded ones.
That's the thing is, just make the best out of what you got. And
make the best. Yes, definitely make the best what you got. Yeah.
Yeah, we're dealt a shitty year. A lot of stuff's kind of hitting the fan right now.
Yeah.
But
look
at the upside. We all had time at home. You have time to reflect and think about what you really want to do, and do that. Even if you weren't figuring out what you want to do, think of all the people that just had some time to sit at home. Their kids are home from school. I think about the families that had some time to all be together. And so I think there's a lot of good that's come out of this.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Sense.
Yeah. Definitely on that perspective, man. Definitely. But in terms of just the time, man. It's been a dope conversation though, man. Regardless, I was checking the time. But in terms of anything else that you just wanted to plug though, man, for the people before we wrap it up, man.
Not much. I mean, just stay in the loop. If you like EDM music, check it out. You can follow me on Instagram, SAULZ.music. You can find me on any streaming platform. Just search SAULZ. SoundCloud is where I put all my remixes. I'll be taking a little break here while I get these 3 new originals ready, and then the 2 collabs I'm working on. But come July, there's going to be a lot of stuff coming out. So
Hell yeah, man. Saul's ready to go, man. I thought we had a real dope conversation on this one, man. In terms of coming back, it's great to have you on as the first guest back from the hiatus, man. So I think it's really dope, man.
Yeah, man. It's always dope to talk to you.
Yeah, man, for real.
As you know, got plenty of history.
Yeah, man. Yeah, for those of y'all who don't know, me and Josh went to high school, but college together, roommates together for like 3 years. So we were dorming, making music together and all that stuff. So me and Josh got history. He mixed UMass Woe for me, my EP, mixed a couple of tracks that I just released, Living and TBH. So Josh has, been working on a bunch of stuff with me. We've been homies for a while. So go way back with that, man. But yeah, man, happy to have you on the TempahZonePodcast. Finally happy to make this one happen, man. Definitely got to share this one around. Let the people know we back,
Yeah, it's dope to be back.
Hell yeah, man. Take it easy, all right?
Yep, you too, man.
Sure, y'all. Y'all have a good one. Thanks you for tuning in.
Peace.